I'm not like type of chef with like egos, like, oh, it's just me, it's my food, and I want to be in Instagram, I want to be in the paper. I don't care about this. I just want to be happy and make good food, have good time in the kitchen, and make the guests happy. I don't really care if having my face in the journals or whatever. That's not for me.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Recently on Deep in the Weeds, we explored the great revival of French bistros and restaurants in Sydney. What was once the backbone of the culinary landscape for so long gave way to the exciting wave of different cuisines of Asia. But in recent years, French cuisine has stormed back and setting Sydney alight. Alexis Besseau is the head chef of Hubert in Sydney. Alexis, how are you?
Very good, yourself?
Good. You've been part of the French sort of revolution in Sydney, not just at Hubert, but Franca before that as well. What's it been like being part of this renaissance?
Oh, for me, coming to Australia was a bit of a surprise. I've been hearing a lot of Australian cuisine, like coming to Australia, like changing a lot of things for chefs. And I had a discussion while I was in Brazil with another French chef. He told me like Australia could be like the future for chefs, knowing like you got a good work balance and you do some hours where you actually get paid for it, compared to Europe when you do a lot of hours and you don't really have a life. So that's why I came to Australia and been here for 9 years now and wanted to do my life here. But like the French food here is a bit different than what you do in Europe. Like you can use like the influence for Asia, as you say, or like it's kind of you adapt to what Australian palates want. But it's really nice because it gives you this freedom that you can tweak things. You can do different way of French cuisine. That's something I will not really be able to do if I will be back in France.
Tell us a little bit about Hubert. For those that have visited, it's such a special and fascinating venue, but many people still haven't been there. Tell us a little bit about it.
For me, Hubert, it's like old school Parisian place when you just go and as soon as you pass the door, you just forget about everything else. It's because you got this way of taking the stairs down and then the whole decoration, the whole vibe, the ambience, it's really unique. So like you're arriving to Hubert and then it's super, like for things it gave me when I came for the trial and I came before for dinner. I was like, it's really different. It's really unique, the vibe, and you just forget about everything. You just enjoy yourself, and it's really unique for me. And so what we're doing is like to play with old school French dishes and kind of to make them interesting again. But like it's kind of this like on the kind of place like in Paris, like a Paul Bert. When you go, you got your classic dishes, and you come back and you're coming back for some of the French dishes. You're coming back for the music. It's a whole lot. Like it's not just about the food; it's the vibe, the jazz music. It's awesome. It's just a unique place. For me, it's the first time I walk in a place and some people told me I just came to Hubert and it was just, the food was good, the service, the vibe was amazing, and I just feel different when I'm in the restaurant. It's not just I'm going out with my friends, and it's just the whole package. It's really different. And it's the first time I do work in a restaurant and this offered that package, I would say.
Yeah. I want to explore your food at Hubert shortly, but take us back to when you were young. What sort of role did food play in your family?
For me, I've always been really curious. when I was young, and my parents, we got a little garden at home, and we're from the northwest region, so the city called Nantes. So my grandpa, my grandma, they had a garden. It's not a countryside, but my parents always been like try to give the best for me and my brother. So we like my mom, she was working, she was staying at home, and my dad was working. But every day we had fresh meals. She was cooking. She was trying to educate us about the good thing of the food, enjoy yourself, and all that. Meaning, like since I'm very young, I was never eating frozen food. Like I was always like going with my dad in the garden, and then like take some of the tomatoes and then cook with my mom. And it's always been like, because I've been just used to having good projects when I was young, for me it was normal. And it just like my mom always tried to get us to try new things, and then cooking, and teach us about like the respect of the produce. And my grandma had a cafe as well for like workers, where it was like just like builders, or like the people who work in the big trucks and stuff. I was like going there and see in the kitchen the chaos and then the interesting place of the rush and all that. And I don't know, I was just there around, and then taking some things from the pans, and I liked it. It just came naturally. That's the thing. Sometimes people ask like why you become a chef, and I don't know. I had this old thing, like I was saying like I wanted to be a chef when I was like really early age, like 7 years old, 8 years old. It's just I don't know. Just food always interests me, and I had these strange things. I always wanted to eat the adult food. I didn't want to be to have a kids and then just to be a kid and just like eat something like just fries and stuff. I just like when we were going to a restaurant, I was wanted to try the foie gras, try the sweetbread, the oldest things for like the strongest things on the menu. I wanted to eat that because I wanted to try. And my dad, I just found it funny at the beginning, so it was just getting me to try things who are on the menu, but like just for adult or like a very strong palate. And at the restaurant, the waiter was like, it's weird. Like this kid is eating sweetbreads, or is eating like beef tongues and stuff like that. And I think I was very curious about that. And then my parents saw it really young that I would be interested to do that. So I was playing soccer, going to school, and like watching TV shows with food, and like reading books and stuff since very, very young. So it came pretty naturally for me.
Do you have any stories of the sort of feasts or dishes that you remember from when you were young that you can tell us about?
For me, seafood was, my grandpa was fishing a lot, and we were like to go fishing with him and just listen to stories and go fishing, teach me how to like clean the fish, and then stay at home like with him and cook the fish. And that was something really interesting. And also the long family dinners, like, you know, when you got all the kids just playing around. I was always staying at the table with the adults, and then trying the food, like try to have a trou normand when I was like 8 to 10, or sneaky pieces of foie gras or stuff like that when all the kids were playing around. Then I don't have like one dish like remind me to my childhood. It's just a lot of different things. I don't have like one dish just remind me to when I was young. Just a lot of different stories and ideas, but always been like interested for food and very curious.
Where did you start your career as a chef?
So I did school when the youngest possible in France is 13 years old. So, but before that, because I wanted to be in the kitchen, I was helping out my dad's friend's restaurant. He had a Greek, traditional Greek restaurant, and I went to told him when my dad was talking to him, say, I want to come and work in a restaurant. I don't care if you pay me or not. So I was doing the cold entrees and KP on my weekend after my soccer game. I was going doing Saturday and Sunday when I was 12 or 13, and then I had to do that. I was super happy, like the whole chaos in the kitchen, the whole vibe, the food, and I was doing the cold entrees, and the chefs were like, "Who is this kid? He's wanted to learn everything and asking like a lot of questions." Been like because it was my passion from a young age. For me it was like you see everything in the books, but you are inside and you are curious about everything. Curious about the fire, the way the service work, the tension between the kitchen, the floor staff. Everything was, I see it like a big open eyes for me when I was young, and that's why I wanted to be in the kitchen that early. And then after I start to do the 4 years of cooking school, and during this time you can do some stage in different restaurants. So I wanted to see if which part of the food I wanted to do. See if it was like more like brasserie, more like a super fine dining, to see what will be the good fit for me. So I divide the stage in like a brasserie, a super busy restaurant, like a cafe kind of style. And after I went to do the super fine dining, so I did 1 Michelin star in Nantes, and I finished at L'Arpège in Paris.
Wow.
And my dad knew the brother of Chef Passa, because my brother used to sell candle for church, and Alain Passa brother is a priest. So he had this work connection, and he told me, say, I can get you a stage at L'Arpège. And I remember I was like, are you serious? I was like, I gotta go and work for Chef Pasta at L'Arpège. So this is what you're just saying to me? I was like, and this experience was amazing. Was just super. He's amazingly passionate, and he can talk about food for hours. Is just he can look at some vegetables and then talk about everything, and then you can see the passion in his eyes. It was just fascinating. It was crazy hard because the hours and then the excellence and the like arriving to a kitchen like this, that's small, and then the quality they're doing, it's crazy.
After your time with Alain Passard, what were the really sort of important venues and people that you worked with as you started to build your career?
After my stage at Passa, I did a 3 months stage there, and they offered me the job as a commie. But since very young, my brother and my parents just pushed us to travel quite a bit to open our eyes. And when I did Arpège is when I realized, like, I don't want to work in France. I want to see other cuisine. I wanted to see other things, but still in like a French background. But I didn't want to live in Paris. I just want to not be the French chef who stay in France all his career and just like there is France and that's it. You know, it's I wanted to open my mind and like see other cuisine, but I always gotta be French, and I love doing French cuisine, but there's so much to offer in the world. So I turned down the offer at Alain Passa restaurant at L'Arpège, and one of the sous chefs, his best friend was head chef in London. So at 17 years old, after the stage, it gave me a job in the Clos Majore in London. And it's known not but being the most romantic venue in London. This place in Covent Garden is amazing, and this chef changed my whole life. Chef Marcelin he was just my mentor, and he was the head chef of Pierre Garnier when he was in the south of France at Aix. And he opened the sketch with him in London, and then someone, an American, offered him to take the head chef position in Clos Majore. So he started there, and he was amazing. He was very, very passionate, and he saw I was really, really interested with the whole aspect of being in the kitchen, and I was just a sponge. Everything he was saying and everything he had shown me, I just wanted to learn everything I could. And he gave me some advice, like how I try to give to the staff now, like just learn as much as possible. Say, I don't know how long you're gonna stay in my restaurant, but when you're here, you need to take 120% of what you can here. It's like every aspect of the business, the building, the kitchen, the suppliers, the way you treat the staff and all that. He told me, say, as early as you can learn that, it's gonna help you forever. So he had some advice, and it was like a second dad for me. Like I was coming in London by myself, discovering all the London life and all the working hours and going out, drinking, and go to work on the next day. I discovered this when I was 18 by myself. It was pretty intense, but it was awesome.
You spent a bit of time in Switzerland as well. How different was that compared to what you were used to?
It was really different. So I finished at Clos Majore. I was junior sous chef. I was 19, and I told him, I can't get a position like this when I was that young. I was like, for me, it was like, I know Clos Majore, I know the restaurant, but I don't want to stay here. I need to learn something else. So this senior sous chef was Swiss, and he told me, you should go in this restaurant. It's where I did my apprenticeship. It's awesome. You should go. And I was like, okay, let's try. And so I went to Switzerland, and the first restaurant I went, it was a 1 Michelin star restaurant, and it was terrible for me because the chef was everything I will never want to become. It was no trust for his staff, like hiding recipes having like his own recipe book underneath, like a little book hiding. He didn't want to share with his staff. It was very strange. I came from a chef who give you everything to a chef who doesn't give you, and he was just saying things like, oh, you're here because I can't do it by myself. You are like my other arms I don't have. I was like, wow, okay. I was like, that's not gonna work for me. I was like, I want to learn, and I'm like, as I said, I'm a sponge. I want to learn as much as possible, but I need chefs who like willing to teach me. So if I'm here and just like the harm you don't have, like that's what the fuck I'm here for. And like, okay, you can get other people, but I went to him and said, Chef, I'm sorry, like I love your food, it's beautiful, and it's like great. Living in Switzerland is weird because you get so much money for like not doing crazy hours, and it's just super different. But I was like, I don't care about money, I want to learn and progress in my life. I was like, and so I decided to change and to go to one of the big things in Switzerland is all the hunting, all like the wild animals. And I was like, I'm in Switzerland, I better learn something. It's one of the best country to offer, like wild venison, like going hunting, and then like get the produce as fresh as possible. So I wanted to learn that, and I went to the other restaurant where it was a bit more traditional, but it was make everything from scratch, and the chef was crazy. It was awesome. It was like stitches you up like, oh, you got 10 wild venison I just get from this guy to clean at like 6 o'clock in the morning. I was like, yeah, cool, whatever. I just want to learn. So that was I made a good experience out of issue when I arrived, and I was like thinking, oh, I'm gonna be like chef de partie in this awesome Michelin star restaurant. But in the book it looks awesome, but the chef was terrible for me. I just didn't enjoy it at all.
You mentioned while you were in Brazil that you got word of Australia. Tell us about what you thought of Australia and the dining landscape when you arrived.
So when I arrived in here, I started working at Bezos Pavilion in Balmoral Beach for Serge Danzero, and I was in Brazil and I was trying to get a sponsor because my brother was working there as a soccer agent, and then I wanted to like live with him and see him a bit more and all that, but it didn't really work out for the get a sponsor in the restaurant. It's really hard there, but I learned a lot there. And then I was like, I miss speaking English, and I spoke with this French guy. He told me like Australia is the future for chefs. So I just took a flight and I arrived in Sydney by myself, and I got this job at Bezos. Serge told me like everything I wanted to hear. I was like, you're gonna work here, we use all this amazing produce, and like he was super nice for like he wanted to give me opportunity to discover Australia, all this produce and stuff. I was shocked when I arrived here. First I was walking and in front of the beach, and it was like going on breaks with the guys playing soccer on the beach, and I was working hard in the team, and I arrived in middle of November in Bezos when it's the crazy season when you get like super busy, and then it was awesome. But I missed it to be in the kitchen and to like do heaps of work. So for me it was just awesome. Like I was super surprised about the quality of the produce because I didn't have much knowledge of the Australian produce before that, but Serge and Cameron was my head chef who is back now at Bezos, and he was really proud of that. So because I always keep this curiosity and wanted to learn as much as possible, so I started studying a bit of Australian produce and wanted to learn more, because when I arrived, like the Australian outside, when the people don't know, they can think it's not good, or say like, oh, it's just like English food kind of thing. But that was the stupidest thing ever. Like there's so much things to offer here, and then from learning from other cultures as well, like the modern Australian food, knowing like it's just the variety, and then I learned techniques from Japan, Korea, it's from everywhere. And at the beginning I was lost because I knew French cuisine and I'd been trying that out, but I was like, what's modern Australian? And then I was like, you can do whatever you want as long as you like use the beauty of a product, you respect them, and then you can bring like different influence. And I was like, fuck, that's good. I was like, I can just do what I want, and then respect and learn, and then always like keep it interesting. And then I was like, I like this place. So I just push as much as possible and learn and start to like going out on all the best restaurants in Sydney, just to keep like the curiosity and to learn and to try to understand why not many person like knew about like how awesome the produce are here.
A few years later, you became the head chef at the Bathers Pavilion. What was that experience like?
It was amazing. So I left Bezos to go to work for Peter Doyle at Est, because for what I've been hearing and studying, it was one of the best in the business for produce, and for like his food was just crazy good in the little kitchen at Est with all these talented chefs, and then the quality and everything. So I went at Est to to learn from Peter Doyle. But after a year, Serge called me and he told me, say, my head chef is leaving and I want you to take the lead of the kitchen. I was like, Serge, I'm 23, turning 24. I was like, I don't care how old you are. I say, I know you can do it. I say, you were running the kitchen as a sous chef before. You love the produce. I know you can do exactly what I want. And they say, I don't care about your age. I say, I know you can do it and I will help you for it. And I'll say, oh, okay, trust you. If you just tell me what you need and then I get ready. And I always, my first chef, Chef Marcel, always told me, say, when you are on the section, look on the next one and then think of the one after. So when I was junior sous, I was always looking at the sous and looking at the head chef job. So I always kind of getting ready without knowing it. So like I always try to look what the head chef job is and then the creation and always like writing recipes, ideas of things like that since really early on. So when I arrived at head chef, I was ready without knowing it of creating the menu and that's the best part for a chef anyway. It's just creating the dishes but he helped me a lot on the day-by-day operation in the kitchen or to like be a leader for the team. And it was very intense when I started because I was really young and the chef, I had to, when I arrived and I start changing things and then like half of the kitchen left because they were used to the whole head chef, and so I had to get more staff, people who care a bit more about the produce and try to do the things the way I wanted. So I learned with the team and with Serge, like they were like working together kind of thing, and then all learning together and as a team, and just like everybody left in the same direction. And that was really what's helped me with that is we just work together. Like I'm the head chef, but we are all there together. It's like I need to make the final decision, but I need to base the job on my staff. They are here for me. And Serge was really good on giving advice and let me do the food I wanted, and it was a very big mentor for me. It was really good.
A couple of years later, you were involved in Franco Brasserie. Tell us a bit about that project and what you were doing there.
So they called me to open Franco Brasserie, and then they gave me the brief of what they wanted. And for every chef to open a restaurant, to be like partner in the opening, and that's like a dream. And it was pretty good. All the creation, like taking everything from scratch, and it was really intense. The whole opening and all that. That was interesting, but unfortunately, it didn't really for what we planned and what was my expectation and the type of food we were doing and stuff. It was a hard moment. Like I was expecting something, they were expecting something, and after a few months we realized like it was not really the place for me. The relation between me and the GM was not very good, and I was doing crazy hours, and just it was a dream and to open a restaurant or something, and then it turned out like not the way I was thinking it would be. But I was no hard feelings. I'm really happy for what they became, and it just was not the right fit for me. That's it. I just and then when I see it's not the right fit for me, I don't want to keep it like pushing more than this. It's just like need to be honest, and it's what we did. Like I don't think it's gonna work for me. I need more life balance. Like I've been spending more time with my wife, and just like I need this balance, like of having the working, but also spending some time with my wife, and then it's the whole thing. And that's why I couldn't have at Franca. So that's why I decided to leave and join Hubert.
Tell us a bit about the food that you're cooking there. Is there a dish or two that you can tell us about that sort of exemplifies your cooking at the moment?
I think one of the most iconic dish I put on there's two, I would say. Like I think the chou farci I decided to put on the menu like a few months back. It's really what I love about French cuisine. It's like something like a whole school dish, and a lot of people think it's gonna be super heavy, but you can kind of make it lighter, and then you got all the earthiness of the pork and the duck fat, some spices, some foie gras, stuff in the cabbage, and just like all the juice, everything like goes together like a little cabbage. It looks really tight. It looks like it's like a little bomb. Like it's full of flavor, and some old school dishes like this, like it's not really on menus anymore because people just think it's super heavy, and it's not. Like I'm trying to show that French food is not like something too heavy, but a lot of things like that. I try to like change the mind a little bit on that. It's like French food, it can be light as well. Some people just still think it's super heavy. Also, I really love to work with vegetables. Like we got a pumpkin tarte tatin we're doing at the moment, and it's a dish I wanted to put because tarte tatin as a sweet is my favorite dessert, and to turn it to a vegetarian with like a caramelized onion, some confit, pumpkin, and vegetable gravy. When you look at the dish, it looks super tasty, and looks like with the sauce and stuff, and you think like it could be like a jus gras or a veal jus or something, but it's just a gravy made of vegetable. And we treat the vegetable the same way as treating like a beautiful piece of meat, and that's one of the dish I put on menu at Hubert. And people at the beginning, like from France stuff, they was like, oh, that sounds interesting, and then we were not selling too much at the beginning. And then after I tried to, like when they were coming from France or like other people's, like, and I put on the banquet menu as well. So at the beginning, some people can like test it, and then like getting into it as well. And that's one of the dish I really love because it's vegetarian, but it's as good as a piece of meat or a piece of fish. And then like from back of my time at La Pêche, like the value of the vegetable as well, and treat them the same way, not just a garnish, but treat them as the same way as you will treat a beautiful piece of ribeye or like a nice piece of maricot or something. So that's one of the dishes I really like at Hubert at the moment. And also the desserts, I did a chocolate bar, which is one of the dish I made for my mom when I was starting to be a chef. I put on the menu because during COVID I couldn't go back to France, and then I haven't seen my parents for 3 years, and we were looking at the pastry chef for putting a chocolate dessert on, and I told her, I said, and I was just thinking, and my wife helped me with all the creation. We discussed about everything about food because she used to be a chef as well, and she understands the hours, she understands the whole like craziness of my passion for food, that I can just read cookbooks all day and talk about food all day, and she understands, and she just doesn't give me shit because we don't go other places. I was just like, when you're very passionate about something, you don't realize sometimes, but you just talk about it all day, and then she understands it, and she supports me a lot with that. And I told her, I should put the dessert, the chocolate bar made for my mom when I was young, and I did it for her when we started dating as well. Try to convince her to stay with me. So it was a double homage on this one to put on the chocolate. So when I see it going out of the pastry kitchen, it's like make me think of my mom and all that. That was a bit of a sentimental one on this one.
You mentioned you left France to sort of explore the world and open your eyes to different cuisines, and in Australia you have the advantage of kind of doing what you want to do. What sort of impact has this role at Hubert had on you and your cooking and life-work balance?
One of the reasons I joined Hubert, it was because they offer us to have 3 days off. So even me as a chef, I got 3 days off and I worked 4 days. And that was, I was super surprised at the beginning. And then when I realized the system they had in place, the benefits you got for the staff of having a life on the side, but when you're here on the 4 days, you give your best because you got like a win-win situation kind of thing. So even as a head chef, of course I'm doing the hours and then it's stressful and stuff, but I still know I can have 3 days off with my partner. And then I can do things on the weekend. I'm not just working in the kitchen and then I got 2 days to sleep. That's why the Swill House is really good for us, and that's why we achieve to like keep the staff pretty well as well, because we respect the rules of the government as well, like getting the staff to do 38 hours and then having a life balance. And that's one of the first words when I came to the interview, Anthony was saying to me, it was like, this is what we try to achieve here. We try to change things, like you got a work-life balance. I was like, what do you mean by that? And he was like, no, you're going to give us the 4 shifts you're doing, but you're going to have 3 days off. And it was a bit of a shock for me at the beginning, but it's just very important now. And because having left Franca because of that, I couldn't really see my partner much, and I always needed to go on meetings and stuff like that. And then going to jump in a job when I'm going to have 3 days off, that was a big change for me. And that's why it make me stay at Hubert and be happy at Hubert as well, is because of this life balance things. And it changed the whole thing for me and also for my staff.
Well, you're doing incredible things there at Restaurant Hubert. What do you love about what you do?
I think the thing I'm most proud of is the team we have. It's the people coming from everywhere. The vibe we have in the kitchen is really respectful and really supportive. Like it's all one team together and walking and pushing all in the same direction. The same thing as I told you about Bezos is I'm not like a type of chef with like egos, like, oh, it's just me, it's my food, and I want to be on Instagram, I want to be in the paper, I want to be all like other reviews and stuff like that. But me, I don't care about this. I just want to be happy and make good food, have good time in the kitchen, and make the guest happy. I don't really care if having my face in the journals or whatever. That's not for me. But that's the team we have in the moment, and we have a very amazing base of chefs, and I really like to make them progress in the team. Like the people who are working out, they will be my next sous chef. They're gonna be give them and tell them they got a future here. That's why I think the most proud of the training, and then seeing the staff staying and seeing like they got friends coming, for example, from Korea, and they say, oh, I got this friend coming from Korea, he want to come in to work with us at Hubert. And our people like referring staff to join us and then to join the big family we got is really, really nice. It's made me proud, and to see the progress of the staff, I think is what make me the proudest, to see the guy who was on the cold entree, now he's cooking steak on the grill. and he's been here for a year a bit, and then you see the progress and the evolution as a chef. That's what made me the proudest, and I think it's what makes us doing good quality as well, is the respect between each other and in the team, and just learning together and pushing together, but no without all the ego bullshit and just all the like yelling, bullying and stuff like that. This is really good why Australia as well make me stay here. It's like you guys try to and do like avoid all this shit quite well, like saying it was not okay, and like compared to all the kitchens in Europe and stuff, I can still speak with some friends in Europe, and then it started changing a little bit, but not as much as it is in Australia.
Well, Alexis, I know you don't seek the limelight, so it's an honour to have you on Deep in the Weeds today to hear part of your story. Congratulations on what you're doing there at restaurant Hubert, and please keep in touch, and we'll catch up again soon.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me today, and it's an honour to be part of such a interesting podcast.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we take a deep dive into the lives of the incredible people who ply their trade in the food and hospitality sector. Special thanks to executive producer Rob Locke for making this all happen. Follow us on Instagram at Deep in the Weeds Podcast, or email us at podcast@deepintheweeds.com.au. Stay safe and be well.